peeps and creeps, and welcome to Fright Club. I'm Gav, he's Danny.
Hello!
We're the Fright Club and this is a brand new episode of Monday Night Frights. On tonight's show, we're talking about Malkovich's Murnau. We're talking about Dafoe as Count Urlock. It's Shadow of the Vampire! And we're back with episode 4.8 of Monday Night Frights, talking about Shadow of the Vampire. And we're being joined by a very special guest tonight, the lovely Miss Kate Cannon. Hello, Kate.
Thanks for having me back.
Our resident lycanthrope is back. But Kate, this film doesn't have any lycanthropes. No. So why are you here? Why have you joined us this evening?
Or does it?
Have you a hot take about this movie that involves lycanthropes?
No.
Oh.
I have some hot takes, but not about werewolves.
Not about lycanthropes. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. So, Kate, you're joining us because last season you happened to mention that you were fond of this film.
I did, yeah. Again, it was one that I watched fairly youngish, and it's just one that I had this kind of fascination with. I hadn't seen Nosferatu or anything before. Didn't really know about the making of it, but I just really enjoyed it. Didn't have appreciation for Willem Dafoe and John Malkovich at that point, but I just really liked it. And yeah, I was happy to rewatch it and rediscover that. Didn't realize it was produced by Nicolas Cage, which
that was first for me this time. Yeah, I remember I was quite late to watching this one, so I think I only watched it while I was at uni. But again, I already loved Willem Dafoe because of Spider-Man playing the Green Goblin. I love John Malkovich because of Mice and Men and being John Malkovich. But I had seen Nosferatu before watching this because, interesting fact, Kate and I, the first time we both seen Nosferatu was at the Ulster Hall in Belfast, and it was a special screening of Nosferatu. But in the Ulster Hall, they have a massive organ. And they had somebody, Gav,
sorry,
get your mind out of the gutter, a musical organ, and they had somebody accompany along to the film with the live organ, and it was absolutely incredible getting to watch that film while somebody played a fucking
organ. And it was improvised
organ.
As well.
Yeah, it was all improvised. It was the fella playing along was just kind of improvising along to the film. And it was a really, really cool way to kind of experience that film for the first time. So it was kind of great having seen the Nosferatu film and then see this here and see the very obvious kind of influences and stuff. And I love movies where they kind of talk about making a movie, you know, where it's almost like obviously at the minute you've got the Marvel what ifs going on, and this is almost like a what if the vampire was a vampire? And it's like, this is a really cool concept. And I mean, the acting in this film is absolutely fantastic. And as you say, completely didn't realize that Nicolas Cage was a producer on it, and also that it's a BBC film.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize it was a BBC film before until I was watching it this time around, and the opening title card comes up from BBC, and I was like, oh,
what do you mean what if, Danny? This is 100% factual.
It's a documentary.
Yeah. Is this not a documentary?
I never realised this. I didn't know.
Willem research, Danny.
Willem Dafoe really is a fool. He's not Willem Dafoe. He's Willem Dafoe.
But yeah, so I seen this when it first came out in video years ago. I rented it from Extravision. Just where where Domino's is at now. That was that Extravision. Yes. So didn't know anything about Nosferatu. It was similar to yourselves. I didn't even really. I had heard of the film Nosferatu, but didn't know what it was. So I kind of just went in blind watching this for the first time, and I enjoyed it just because it was kind of silly and over the top. But I was expecting more of a typical vampire film, which obviously this isn't. But years later, obviously seen Nosferatu, and I love, like yourself, Danny, I love films about films. So I really started to appreciate this in my later years and enjoyed rewatching it for this week. So happy days. Really glad that you chose to pick this one, because I hadn't thought of this one, but I'm really glad that we're doing it, because I love Nosferatu as well. So, but as you said, like you said the musician guy that was there that night was improvising. The score, was it along the image
along with
because it's obviously a silent film, and it was like, I think it was years after it was released that they did somebody, I can't remember the guy.
They added like scores and stuff to it, but
recorded the score, and it is actually an amazing score in the revised version.
Yeah, but I mean,
Nosferatu.
Yeah, the whole side, I love some of my favorite parts in it are all like the practical effects stuff of it, the stop motion that's in it, and the fact that how they like managed to get him up out of the coffin and stuff, which again we kind of get reference to within this film, Shadow of the Vampire. You get to see how it's done, and I love that. I love all those kind of wee nods to the practical effects and what was going on behind the scenes of the actual Nosferatu production. And then they just, of course, add that twist that, well, what if the crew were actually being taken out by the vampire lead?
It's a great idea, and it feels like, when I think about it now, it feels like this film was just written for me, because like that's just such a geeky horror film thing, isn't it? What if the vampire was really a vampire? It's such a cool fucking plot or premise to a film. Nick Cage, obviously we talked about his production company, Saturn Films, I think is his production company. He wanted to play Murnau, I think, when he first read the script and first optioned the script, but then he got Malkovich in because he had done Con Air with Malkovich, which is obviously amazing film as well. And Malkovich probably, well, would he be a better actor than Cage?
He's perfect for this role.
Yeah, I think Malkovich has consistency across time. Nicolas Cage had a bit of a ropey era, but he's starting to really bring it back now. A lot of the stuff that he's doing now, you're like, oh, okay, we're getting some top quality Cage. I mean, it's all still fucking batshit mental.
Yeah, he didn't really have a ropey era until after this, when he started doing all the direct-to-video action films.
Yeah.
But it would have been weird to see Cage in this role. I think he would have done okay, but he had already done a vampire film, Vampire's Kiss, previously, and maybe thought, fuck it, we'll let Malkovich do this. But Malkovich is one of those actors. For me, I have a love-hate relationship with him. He's obviously an amazing actor, and he always gives everything in his performances. But for some reason, I just hate him. I don't know why. Like, he's amazing, and I know he's an amazing actor, and I'm sure he's a lovely man and stuff. But for some reason, the characters that he plays on screen, I just want to choke him. I don't know why.
Johnny English.
It's weird, yeah.
I completely forgot I was in Johnny English with Mark.
He's such a good actor, but I don't know why I feel like that. But he's a bit like that in this movie as well. Like, he's just, I think he's so intense. He always plays intense characters.
Yeah.
And maybe it's his cadence and the way that he speaks and performs on screen that just, there's something about it that just kind of ticks me off. And he's supposed to do that obviously in this film because he's a bit of a dick,
Yeah.
Oh, he's fantastic at playing dickish characters. Absolutely fantastic at playing dickish characters. But yeah, no, I think he's fantastic, and I really I think the performances from all the actors in this film are pretty consistent. But I mean, Willem Dafoe in this film is something else. Like,
he's next level.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was the basis on him being offered Green Goblin.
Oh, is why he took.
I did read that. Because he got an Oscar nom, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He was up for supporting actor.
I read that was the basis to which he got offered the role, but didn't always believe the internet, but I could believe that because
sounds plausible. Yeah, it sounds plausible.
Amazing.
Yeah. He lost to Benicio del Toro that year in 2001, I think, for Traffic, which obviously won loads of Oscars as well. So fair play. But I thought Dafoe, going back now and rewatching it, I'd be like, how could you not give it to Dafoe? Like, it was just such a silly, over the top performance.
Yeah, maybe that's probably, again, they might have viewed it as too over the top or too silly for an Oscar win.
And also the Oscars, historically don't like to give out Oscars to like vampire films or horror films in general. There's a few a few horror films have won a few things over the years, but they tend to not really like to give them out as winners. Fucking bastards. So anyway, the screenplay was written by Stephen Katz, this was his first feature film. He's done a few other smaller films after this, but he also did the little mystery film Wind Chill, starring Emily Blunt. I don't know if you've seen that one. No, I haven't either. But it's supposed to be very good. For some reason he hasn't really done much work after this. He'd done a few screenplays, but you would kind of think it's strange that he does something like this and then kind of sort of disappears after a few years. But it was directed by Elias Merhige, I think is his name. Fuck, I'm saying that definitely wrong. Sorry.
It's
sorry.
Has done many a Marlon Manson music video, apparently.
Oh.
So obviously, Marlon Manson music videos. I know he's a cunt, like. But anyway, he was sort of badass, I suppose, back in the mid to late 90s. And his videos were always pretty freaky. So, the next step would be obviously doing a Academy Award nominated film with Dafoe and Malkovich. That's the next step, obviously. But so produced by Nick Cage and starring Malkovich, Dafoe, and Eddie Izzard.
Again, somebody who I had actually forgotten was in the film until I went to rewatch it this time. I was like, oh, fucking yes, Eddie Izzard is in this as well. Yeah, great.
It's weird. I'd forgotten he was in it too, and when he popped up, I was like, fuck, how could you forget fucking Izzard? Like,
did you know that I have met Eddie Izzard?
Did you?
I was fucking blacked. I was absolutely blacked when I met him, and it was at so we've been to see him at the Odyssey, or the SSC Arena as it's now called, but we saw his stand-up show at the Odyssey and got to meet him after and got like an autograph and got a chat and a photo and stuff. But I was wingdinged, like
bluttered,
absolutely bluttered. But he was a lovely fella. He was absolutely lovely and took time to say hello and have a wee chat with everybody who stayed to say hello to him.
He's a good man. Nice. Izzard's a legend. Done so much for charity and stuff over the years as well. What a legend. Udo Kiers and this Carrie Elways as well. Another fucking legend.
His accent.
Don't get me started on his fucking accent.
I just have on my notes Carrie Elways' accent.
Yeah, I actually have it too. It's kind of really good in places, and then it's kind of like really ropey in places too.
I love him though, so it's allowed.
He's a legend. He's been in another film as well. Obviously, he was in Bram Stoker's Dracula, but famous for Men in Tights and blah blah blah. Princess Bride.
So
that's what I was doing. I was like, "Come on, sit."
He's like, "Come on, say Princess Bride."
Say Princess Bride. I fucking love Princess Bride.
So, in my research for this film, as I always do every week,
he's got the figures. Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, we're not going to give. Is that not where we're at? I thought we were at figures, but
I was going to tell you a wee fact about the film first.
Oh, fun fact. Okay, fun fact.
I'll tell you a wee
and
fun
then the
fact.
figures.
It was originally called Burned to Light. Okay, Burned to Light. But they changed the title from Burned to Light to Shadow of the Vampire because on the font of the screenplay, there was a space between the N and the E, so it looked like Burn Ed to Light. And William Dafoe was like, who the fuck's Ed? So all the screenplays apparently had it, so they were like, nah, you know what, that's a shite name, let's just change it.
Poor Ed.
I just deleted the space in between the
N and
the E.
Exactly. I mean, I'm guessing it was just sort of like
I wonder
a placeholder name anyway.
If Willem Dafoe had said nothing, would they have cracked on, and then everybody would have been like, Burn Ed to light? And then Kate would have been like, my brother Ed.
My
for
brother.
For those who don't know, Kate has a brother I have a cousin called Eddie.
Edward.
Poor Edward would have been burnt to light.
Edward would have been burned.
Would have been burnt to light. Burnt.
I know.
To light.
Like a witch.
What does that mean? What does burnt to light mean?
Burned.
Burnt.
Not burnt.
Burnt to light.
Fucking common as muck. Fucking broad boy. Burnt. Burned. Chinese.
Burned to light.
So yes, and also money time, Danny.
Give us those figures.
I can tell everyone who watching this is like, oh, just fucking hurry up and get
This is
the
what
box
we've been waiting for.
The budget was 8 million. Quite a lot, really, when you think about it. But it made about 11 million, so it was fairly small movie. I don't think it got a massive wide release. I don't remember it in cinemas or anything. Like, I'm sure it did the festivals and all that sort of stuff. It feels like a very much a festival film that probably got a small release and then just hit videos or whatever. But got a wee bit of money back for Nicolas Cage. He would go on to make, I don't know what he made after this. When was this, 2000? Fuck knows what he was making back in those days.
The man seems to love just buying and investing in ridiculous stuff. Did you know that he once bought the skull of a dinosaur? He just wanted to buy. He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy the skull of a dinosaur.
Did he put it in a museum? Or?
I don't know, but he bought a dinosaur skull because he wanted it.
Sits in it. Well, it depends what size. I'm thinking
sits on top of it, just like this is mine.
I imagine it's like a T-Rex and he's turned it into a bathtub or something, and he takes baths.
Stepped upside down and holds the teeth and just goes.
Or if it's like
a
velociraptor, he does
drinks from it.
Experience soliloquies. And
Hamlet, but with a dinosaur skull.
I know. He's a mad bastard.
I would have loved. One of my favorite things about Nick Cage is seeing the pictures of him as long-haired Superman from the ill-fated Kevin Smith, Nick Cage Superman. I still would love to not necessarily see that. Was it Kevin Smith written? Tim Burton directed, and starring Nick Cage as Superman. And I still, there's a small part of me that not necessarily wants to see that as a film, but would still like to see his character make an appearance somehow, even in the new Flash movie.
Well. Guess what, Daniel? I have zero information about that, but it could possibly happen.
Imagine that's the kind of thing I want. I would like to see it.
I would be shocked. I tell you, shocked if it doesn't happen.
It's one of those things. It's become such a it's become so ingrained within superhero pop culturedom that it has to eventually happen at some point. We've all seen those behind the scene photos. It needs to become a reality within the universe that is DC.
It wasn't just photos. Like, they actually, they didn't film anything, but they definitely did tests, because there was a documentary recently, a few years ago, and it was all about the making of it and how it didn't actually get produced. Yeah. But there's footage out there, video footage out there of him actually wearing the suit and doing the whole
the costume tests and stuff.
So it's a shame. It would have been very strange, but I'm really sad that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, we've deviated from what we were actually here to talk about. We got distracted by the wonder that is Nick Cage.
What we do in the shadows.
No! No!
Sorry, the shadow. Starring Alec Baldwin.
No! Alec Baldwin.
So, we just went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, sorry.
Right, anyway.
John Malkovich of Mice and Men. That's what we're here to talk about. What?
So, obviously, based on Nosferatu, the making of Nosferatu, the myth that, the urban legend that has grown since that film was released about the fact that Max Schreck, who plays Count Orlok in the original Nosferatu, was a real vampire. So some of the cast genuinely believe that, or that's what the myth is anyway, because he only appeared on set in makeup. And although they didn't film at night, which they do in this movie, they filmed during the day and stuff, but the idea that he would only appear in makeup was real, apparently, anyway. I don't know. Maybe it was made up bullshit. I don't know. But it sounds cool.
I read that as well.
Yeah, isn't that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously they this movie is not a documentary. We were joking.
It was a bit, guys. It was a bit.
Yes, it was a bit. It was a it was a bit. He didn't actually kill cast members. They all lived, and they had families and blah blah blah, whatever. But yeah, that we know of, yeah. Maybe that's all been hidden. Maybe that actually happened.
Cover up the whole time.
The best. Yes.
I did write down. This is why method actors need to be stopped, because
Jared Leto, you fucker.
I reckon I was kind of thinking about this after. During this film, it's overly implied that he is he's an actual vampire. But for the most part, apart from the whole biting and sucking and having to be like hid away in the dark and not out in the sunlight, do we ever get any of the other stuff that kind of comes along with vampirism, like turning into a bat, or does anyone else kind of turn?
There's the part where the actress can't see his reflection in the mirror, so there's those kind of.
There's that, but again, it doesn't really come till near the end of the film. There was kind of a few moments in this where I was like, is he just a method actor? And it's all just getting a bit too, like, it's becoming a bit of a hysteria thing. There's a few moments like that.
He only kills the guy after he gets drunk on schnapps. I mean, who hasn't done that? Like, the last time I had schnapps, many people died.
We've all been there. Come on, like,
a little schnapps murder.
I could get behind that as a take,
as a hot take, because
you could say he snapped.
But I was thinking about it after, and apart from that kind of mirror scene, I was like, is this just a type of hysteria on set?
He was just a magician. It was all an illusion.
He was just really into his art that he took it a little too far,
He eats that kind of crow, the bat. Sorry,
it's like just grab.
Yeah, which it's not limited to vampires.
Well,
I don't know. Ask Ozzy Osbourne, is he a vampire?
Exactly. Man loves biting the heads off butts.
Aye.
So is that that's your hot take, Danny?
Yeah, that's my hot take. Yeah.
Is that where Jared Leto got the whole sort of I'm going to be a creepy bastard on set?
I'm going to post things to my castmates and make them deeply uncomfortable.
Did he not post like a dead rat or something really silly? Or
it was something like, I can't remember if it was like shit or
was it?
I can't remember. It was
something you wouldn't want to receive in the post.
It was either something that was dead or shit.
Fecal
or both.
It could be neither, but or both.
Shouting a dead rat and posting it.
I think you're right. It was shit. That does sound actually vaguely familiar. Whenever you say it, what a dick he is.
Fuck that guy.
Gully creature.
Welcome. Yeah. So Dafoe was nominated for the Oscar, and Anne Buchanan was also nominated for Best Makeup, but lost out to Rick Baker. So fair play. Rick Baker is one of the best ever, and Gail Rowell for The Grinch, which is legendary film. I saw it in the cinema actually. Great movie.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine, actually, just again, deviation from what we're talking about, but could you imagine if The Grinch was slightly darker in tone? Could The Grinch be turned into a horror film? Some evil green creature who wants to steal Christmas?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's definitely
horror Grinch.
There is a version.
Food for thought.
I'm almost certain there's like versions, horror versions.
Horror versions of The Grinch. Just submit below in the comments films that you believe could be turned into horror versions. We're saying The Grinch. Shrek. I reckon Shrek would take a pretty dark turn.
There are those trailers that people edit to make films look like is there one like Elf to look like a thriller or something like that? So that's good. I can't remember the other ones.
There was one where it was Karate Kid, and I think it was the genesis of Cobra Kai TV show, is that somebody edited it from the point of view of Johnny being the hero and Daniel being the villain.
Oh yeah.
And that's what happened there,
which is sort of real, really. But yeah, so they switched it around and they edited a trailer, and I think Cobra Kai sort of grew from that trailer, going viral and stuff, which is weird. But yeah, hopefully we'll get a horror version of the Grinch soon. If we haven't already got it, I'm sure there's one out there somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Anyway,
back to what we were talking about.
Here we go. Shadowlands. Let's talk about this again. Obviously, yes, it's a work of fiction. It's not real. But other things that didn't happen in real life, apparently, was that Murnau was actually not a dick. Which is, Malkovich Malkovich plays Murnau like a real sort of dickhead, like a real...
He's addicted to like opiates as well, isn't he, in the film? Is that a real thing? Was he? It seems...
Probably.
Could have
probably
possibly been.
I mean, back in the 20s, I'm sure they were all off their tits on
something.
Yeah.
Schnapps,
aye.
Schnapps all around.
Spicy schnapps.
Spicy schnapps.
But Murnau was not a manipulative, creepy director that would do anything to get his film made. However, he did kind of, as we know, go against the wishes of Stoker's widow, because he wanted to make Dracula. She said, no, mate, you're all right. And he was like, fuck you, I'm going to make it anyway. And he changed, obviously, all the names and stuff, and he sort of changed the plot a little bit. But it was basically just the plot of Dracula. But this was like the first proper adaptation. I suppose it wasn't a real adaptation, if that makes sense. But it is, without a doubt, one of the most important films ever made, and one of the most famous horror films ever made, in my eyes anyway.
I think it's great that, like, with this film, with Shadow of the Vampire, you get those kind of wee title cards that come up every so often that give a bit of context to the actual historical basis in which the film's set. So yeah, I just think it does, we joked around about it being a documentary, but when you kind of see those little fact cards come up, you're like, actually, this could almost be sort of documentary-esque, but then we get the fictitious vampire story interlaced in it, and the really overdramatic characters and stuff as well.
I love how Malkovich plays Murnau in this. He plays him like, obviously he's manipulative, he's eccentric, he's creepy, he's very angry all the time because he's obsessed with this film and he wants to make this film the best that he can. And you find out that he's made a bit of a bargain with this vampire. He's offered him the girl. I can't remember what's the girl's name? The main actress.
Greta.
Greta, that's the one. So he's offered her at the end of the film, if he makes this film, Orlok can have her. But he sort of plays it like a bit of a mad scientist, I think. Mm-hmm. Like the filmmaking has become not an experiment, but a science project for him that he has to complete. And like, he's always wearing the lab coat and he's got the goggles on all the time. And he is sort of kind of like a mad scientist, which is kind of weird because last week we spoke about House of Wax and how Henry Jarrett, the Vincent Price character, ends up turning into that kind of mad scientist type character. And it's very much a trope of horror villains, but I think it really works for this one. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I love the kind of descent into madness we see from him. When they they find him at the end of the film, huddled up in his wee bed. And the thing about like his addiction and stuff the whole way throughout it, it's not like, it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem through most of the film. We just kind of get at the start, we get an indication of it, of the close-up shots of like his little opiate bag with all the syringes and the cotton buds and everything in it. And then we see it again at the end. But by the time we get to the end of the film, we can see that it's all taken a hold on him. And you almost kind of wonder, is he going to it because of what's going on around him? Or has he just lost his mind because he's high on opiates? It's sort of, again, which kind of brings into my mind, well, is the whole vampire thing real, or is it all just a delusion because of the drugs involved and the stress of the job and all that sort of thing as well?
That's it. he's clearly lost touch with reality to the point where it seems like he's putting himself in danger. Like he doesn't care about his cast and crew. But that part where, you know, that kind of final standoff before Willem Dafoe gets burnt.
He gets burned.
He gets
He gets burned.
Burned
And yeah, that's a really great scene. And like obviously, I guess the art of filmmaking was more, I don't know, you're working with like a lot more, like the equipment is a bit less predictable, and you know, with the way they've got their goggles and the kind of lab coats on, like it's just kind of got that mad scientist vibe to it, which I really like.
It's more of a process, and they have to obviously. There's a lot of reference to, oh, you know, we've only got this much film left, and the effect it's going to have on the budget, and the producers constantly like stressing about how much time it's taking to film a scene, or the fact that they've always got to film at night, and the changes they have to make to the equipment to allow them to film at night and stuff. It's really interesting. I think it's a real interesting insight to how films were made at that time as well. We get to hear and see a lot of those processes that I suppose we just take for granted now because of how easy it is to record at night and that.
Yeah, it works really well as a sort of behind the scenes of how old school filmmaking was back then, and the processes, you know, even the stuff when he, you know, roll the film and put the filters in and all that sort of stuff. And I just love it. I'm obsessed with like old school filmmaking. I do feel like maybe back then there was a lot of people, a lot of pioneers that if they didn't do that stuff, you know, film wouldn't be what it is today, and it wouldn't have progressed to the stage that we're at now. So big up Murnau.
Yeah. I think, is there not a lot of the stuff in this film that like necessarily didn't really happen in the book, but has become so applicable? Not necessarily this film, I mean the Nosferatu film, that adds to the legend of the vampire because it was the first time, like even the whole rising up out of the coffin and all, like that was, it's not really something, but that we know, yes, they are raised from the dead, but this is the first time we literally see like a figure rise up in that manner.
That's such an iconic sort of conjure, like just think of that when you think of a vampire, I don't know, getting out of bed. But that was like that somebody thought to do that, which is really,
why did he not just go
so iconic? I know.
Yeah. Wait.
I would have been
their alarm on snooze.
I know.
That'd be too
Where's
easy.
my coffee?
No, instead they had to put a wooden board up behind his back and have boys basically like pivot him up, which again, it's such a, you know, it's so
enduring.
Yeah, it's a really enduring technique, and it's so simple. Like it's just like, okay, here we do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fantastic.
I mean, you look at all those scenes behind the scenes from The Matrix, of them doing the bullet, you know, the bullet time and all. That was the same, except they had to lean back, and it was just some dude in a green suit holding them on a plank. You know, it's like that's the kind of bread and butter techniques that are still used today on set, and I'm obsessed with all that shit. I love it, man. I love it. Anyway, Nosferatu, amazing. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Yeah. What I also love about the original Nosferatu, and we're actually talking more about the original film than we are about this one. But anyway, we'll get to this one. But I love just the makeup and the look of Max Schreck, because that's a classic look that has been copied time and time again. You know, you look at some of the sort of the firstborn vampires, I think they call them. I'm not sure what the initial ancient vampires, I suppose they're known, but Salem's Lot, the master from Salem's Lot is a similar look to that, and then of course, you know, What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah. What's it? Is it Peter? What's his name from the film? Peter, isn't it?
It's Peter, yeah.
Yeah, he comes out of he's down in the basement.
Yeah.
He looks like, you know, he's got that ball.
Nosferatu,
yeah. German expressionism. Let's talk about that for a little while, for another 3 hours. Let's not talk about that. But yeah, obviously that was huge back in the day, and hugely influential on films that came afterwards, and still very influential to this day. You know, we get that lovely shot from the original Nosferatu of creeping up, the shadow, which is one of the most iconic images in cinema.
So iconic.
So iconic, isn't it, man?
I mean, it gave the film its name. It's the shadow of the vampire. I love it. The thing I think I love most in this film is the nails. I love his wee nails, and I love obviously the impact those nails have on the shadow, but then also how Willem Dafoe uses those nails to emphasize his like annoyance or satisfaction, or he really emotes with he's very expressive in his face and how he works the makeup. But that nail acting is the wee clicks that he does with it, or he's getting agitated by something, you can see him, or when he's pleased with something, he kind of goes
and or when he gets the locket of Greta as well, and he's like
holding it, he's like sort of moving it around with his nails rather than his fingers. And I there's a fantastic moment where they make reference to shooting on time, and they're like, oh, we have to make sure that we have everything ready so that we can move at 4 p.m. tomorrow. And it's the way he goes, 4 p.m. He's like clicking his wee nails, and I lost my shit. But I just love his like
he's so good, man. His facial expressions are unreal, and the big teeth, and it's the eyes, because he's
incredible.
He goes back like that, and he does the whole Freddy Krueger sort of glove thing where he's just constantly clicking the nails. I mean, that must have been fucking pretty annoying to work with, but he definitely works with it. Like, he shows off the nails, probably more so than may have been intended in the original script, but that's because Defoe is awesome. But
amazing nail acting.
It's just all of those scenes where they go into the then shooting and like the acting, because it's so, imagine that balance of getting like the overacting that was in those films, but like it's so accurate, or it's so amazing to watch, because it'd be so easy just to overact the overacting, if that makes sense, but it's just done so perfectly.
You could say he nailed it. Oh, 2-0. Right. I've just written Defoe, amazing eyes, overacting. So there you go. Essentially, that's what this film is. Other than him clicking his fingers and his nails, Danny, what sort of other favorite scenes do you have from the movie?
There's, again, anything really do with him, and I really like actually the scenes when they first arrive on location and the like local townspeople are acting in a way that they acted in the film, and it's almost like what we see in the original Nosferatu is a genuine thing. And I think for them, the way it's played, you almost are like, this is genuine concern from these people. But it's the fact that all the locals are genuinely fearful, but everyone on the cast and crew are still just kind of like, whatever. Look at this guy. He's so method. He is so method.
I love how they set it up at the start, and they're constantly asking, who's this Max Schreck guy, and I don't remember his name, and somebody says that he was part of the Stanislavski company. Which was a nice shout out to him. But I just love how the other actors and producers are kind of like, oh, I've never heard of this guy, and when are we going to meet him? Like, and the producer, who is played by Udo Kier, he's like proper hardline sort of, we need to get on, everyone needs to be in the same boat, we need to know what's going on. And I just love, it's kind of just a nice view into how it probably would have been back in those sets. But I love the fact that the extras in this are just local people. And he's like, I don't want extras, I don't want actual actors, I just want a couple of old people in a pub just being who they were. And I wonder, I'm guessing that that's probably how the original film was filmed. But then we get the part, obviously, when they remove the crosses and they're sort of slowly playing this sort of thing where they can't have the crosses in the location, and nobody's met Max Schreck yet. And there's a great line actually that Murnau says, "We are scientists engaged in the creation of memory, but our memory will neither blur nor fade." And I was just like, what a fucking line that is. I love just shit like that, and that sort of kind of cements the fact that he's just addicted to being a filmmaker.
Also, does anyone remember his first lines in the film, where he's like directing the cat, and he's like, "Oh, what does he say? It's like good pussy."
Oh yeah.
I was like, "Oh,
so
Jesus.
random."
And that's the thing with Malkovich. I'm like, is this intentional or is this meant to be funny? That's what I can't figure out with him, but that's why I love him.
When I put it on, I was like, hang on, I put on the wrong film here. have I put on like a weird
porn version
beneath the Valley of the Shadow of the Vampire or something? It was weird, but yeah. What an opening line. Amazing. Kate, what's your sort of favorite scene or scenes?
I just love the scene where he gets drunk on schnapps, eats the bat, and they're like, "What acting?"
I know.
Yeah, they're just like, he's so committed.
For class.
Like,
but then,
bravo, guys.
Isn't it? There's one of the guys that sort of catches on. He's a bit worried, but everyone else seems to just be like, "Okay, he's just drunk, and it's fine."
I'm trying to remember is it like the initial director of photography or something?
Is he not the one that ends up getting like
dies, yeah,
he ends up dying because Max attacks him down in like the tunnel that Eddie Izzard gets like scared out of.
Oh yeah.
That's the first time you see Orlok, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the DOP sort of goes a bit crazy. And they have to eventually get rid of him. But oh no, he dies, don't he? Doesn't he bite him in the throat?
Yeah.
He bites him in the throat,
He bites him in the throat and they have to send him away. But it's the bit, actually, you know what? One of my favorite lines is where John Malkovich goes to confront Orlok and says to him, like, my director of photography, like, why did you have to attack the director of photography? And Orlok's like, oh, well, what about the screenwriter? Can I have him? He's like, no, you can't have the screenwriter. And he's like, or you can't have any of them. You can't even have the makeup girl. And Orlok's just like, oh, I'll eat her later. Like something like that. And I was just like, oh, great line.
I mean, it's not a horror film. It's about one of the most famous horror films ever made. But it is a comedy film. Let's be honest here.
Absolutely.
There's so many funny scenes, mostly from Dafoe. But yeah, Malkovich has got this real dry humor in it as well. And I love the scene where Orlok talks about the novel. He talks about the book Dracula and how he's like, no, that didn't happen. And it's just kind of like, hang on, if he's a real vampire, then how's he read the book? And the book's about a vampire, and it's just this weird sort of kind of it's just very bizarre. But I thought it was hilarious that he was actually talking about the book.
It makes
like an Amazon delivery.
Yeah.
he was
must
just
have
like,
had a first edition
signed by Stoker. Stoker sent it to him.
Big Bram.
back all Bram. I'm on sale. Fuck. I just, you know what, as well, actually, I love the scene after he's had the schnapps and he's eating the bat and he's up on the big, like, crafted boat that they built on the side of the castle. And it's like one of the, like, crew members, like, doing something on the boat. And he's just, like, up behind them, like, he just kind of lurches at them first and then leaps on them. And it's such a funny wee motion. But again, it's that whole pose, the proper,
iconic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They really do try to get as many of those poses in as they can, and just sort of holding the arms
It's a signature thing, like the whole kind of almost like it's like a wee praying mantis, like.
Yes.
I love everything just in the shadows, and there's a great scene later on where he's up high, and it's obviously taken out. I think that scene's maybe taken more from the Werner Herzog remake of Nosferatu, which is an amazing remake. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen the remake.
I think
Nosferatu the Vampire, it's called.
I have a funny feeling I have, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
It stars Klaus Kinski as Orlok. Well, he's Dracula in this, and Bruno Ganz plays Harker. Bruno Ganz is an amazing actor as well. Like, So good. And Werner Herzog's just, come on, one of the best filmmakers ever. But there's a great scene in that where he's kind of looming in the tower and he kind of comes out of the shadow and he's looking down. And there's a scene from this that feels like it's just taken directly from that. And I just love that they've taken certain scenes from these two Nosferatu versions.
Nice. I think is the Herzog one, is it the one where they show like lots of images of like rats in the streets? Is there not? Or is that the original?
No, the original as well. They released a lot of rats.
In
both,
the streets.
Yeah, in both, yeah. But
I'm trying to think. There's definitely. I'm trying to remember. I've seen the Herzog one, but yeah, I think I have. I think so.
But it's great whenever the DOP dies and Orlok he's bitten Hutter's finger as well, hasn't he? In a scene, and then they get the new DOP.
Oh yes.
But the new DOP is played by Corey Always, who's like this fucking proper German
action hero,
blonde hair, and
fucking
arrives in a plane.
He arrives piloting a plane
with the big fucking German Iron Cross and all on the side, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Was it? And is he not filming the scene where he's trying to get like a genuine reaction, so he just fires a gun?
Well, that's who was it did that on set? William Friedkin, I think, did that on set.
Fired a gun?
Yeah, he fired a gun. I want to say it was on set of The Exorcist. I'm almost certain he did it on The Exorcist. He fired a gun to get a proper reaction out of one of the actresses. That's what they did back in the day, Danny. You know.
Let's wind them up.
You can't do that.
Let's wind them up real proper.
I know. But I suppose it goes in hand with the fact that, you know, it's actually a real vampire, not an actor. Elwes is amazing in this. So you mentioned his accent earlier on, Kate. Where the fuck's he from? Like, he's supposed to be German, but it's kind of like a weird, I don't know, like it comes and goes. Sometimes it's good, and then other times you're just like, hang on, what's going on here?
I had to pause it and laugh. I just had to like have a moment and be like, okay, this is happening now. I totally forgot about that. Like, overall, my first few watches of this, again, didn't really laugh at it. I was like, oh, this is kind of spooky and fun. And then I was just cackling the whole way through. It's so daft. I love it.
It's great. I love the scene when he's sort of setting up for the scene where Orlok's in his, like, sleeping in his coffin, and he's like looking down and saying like how amazing his makeup is, and Orlok's just like looking up at him like, it's so good.
I woke up like this.
Hasn't even had a coffee yet.
That's fantastic. I think that's great. I love Willem Dafoe's reactions and how he really just holds those moments and just holds his like look, just this manic. He just constantly looks on the edge of like attack or a panic attack. You're not really too sure what's about to happen with him.
It's great. As the film progresses, he starts killing off cast members one by one, and Murnau's getting more kind of addicted to finishing the film, and people are getting worried, but cast members are dying, mad shit's starting to happen. And I love how Orlok's getting really pissed off. He's just had enough. He's just like, fuck this, I'm gonna just kill everyone. Like, I can't even order this shit.
Give me the girl.
I want her now. He's just getting really annoyed.
Yeah.
And then obviously he eventually gets her sort of towards the end of the film when we get that kind of scene that's now very iconic.
During that scene when he's like sucking her blood.
Now, I know what you're going to say.
Willem Dafoe full on squeezes her boobie.
Yeah.
You're just like, that's fucking, and again, I can't remember if that is actually because it happens in the original Nosferatu or not, but I was like, Willem, what you doing?
I'm almost certain. Yeah, I'm almost certain it didn't happen in the 1922 version, but I'm pretty sure it happens in the Herzog version. So I think maybe they've taken a little bit from that too.
Influence from that one as well.
Yeah. But yeah, he was very gropey, like proper, like, geez, he's being like really gropey here.
No.
I hope he wasn't just sort of, you know.
Was that a directed
I hope that was written in the script, because that would be very
discussed
frustrating.
and planned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe They're feeling you up.
Oh, he does, eh?
Jesus Christ.
I would have hoped that,
yeah.
Is it Catherine McCormick?
Catherine McCormick, yeah.
Yeah. I hope she was okay with that.
Sure. Catherine, let us know.
Yeah.
Catherine, if you're watching, leave in the comments below.
Is there a need?
It's because, like, I think because it's so out of place because, I mean, with Dracula, there's like, you know, you think of the like Bram Stoker's Dracula, like there's such a kind of sexual energy, like obviously
sexy werewolf.
Dracula wants the ride, but like in this, and I don't know, I can't really remember too much about Nosferatu, but like certainly in this, it's like, yeah, he wants her, but it's like, I don't know, there isn't that kind of seductive thing. So then it just kind of, that's quite out of the blue and a bit out of the place for me. I think that's why it's a bit jarring to watch that, to be honest.
He's obsessed with her, but you don't get the impression that it's because he wants to ride her. He just wants her, you know.
Eat her. I don't know.
Yeah. Just wants to feed on her, but I mean, I guess it plays into the whole sort of overacting,
true.
which is kind of the vibe that they're going for in this film.
Yeah.
So that scene is really famous from the original Nosferatu, where he, you know, he bites Snake and then he goes back and he does the old whoo, and he burns, he gets burned. So they recreate that in this film perfectly. Like, it's so good to see it actually unfold. It feels like you're kind of watching a real documentary where Murnau is just proper going for it. And then the producer comes in and Elway's character, I can't remember his name, but it just descends into madness. It just descends into chaos.
Absolutely, yeah. It's actually great.
His character is called Fritz.
Fritz, of course he is. Of course he's called Fritz.
He's German.
Yeah. It's just all these characters that are like dying around the set, and they're still just rolling. I love prior to this, rolling on the film set.
The river. What's the German
on the
Rhine?
The Rhine.
Yeah.
It's the same. Just before this year, we kind of get an idea of what they have planned for Nosferatu. The fact that they're going to deceive him and try and make the weight change so that the sunlight comes in, but Orlok's kind of twigged on to this and he stops it. He ends up cutting the chain, and I love that scene where he's kind of figured it out, and you almost kind of we get an idea of what's going on, but we don't fully know. He just kind of seems to like mess about with this chain. You're like, what's that about? But again, I love how he's over at it and he's just like, no, he like fucks with it and then runs away, scuttles away. But then you realize that he's actually twigged on that they're going to try and kill him and stop him from getting the girl. I think that's great. I think it's another fantastic sort of Dafoe moment. He's being a sneaky boy.
Scuttling about.
He's scuttling around the place.
Clever, man. Vampires are clever.
I love the whole thing when he's sort of saying to them, you know, when they're drinking the snaps, and he says about, oh, you know, if I was younger. And again, that's where I kind of thought about, like, a lot of the time with like vampires and stuff, there's that idea of like an agelessness to them, whereas in this, he's sort of saying, oh, if I was sort of younger and stronger, you wouldn't be able to stop me.
Yeah.
But in that moment, he's kind of showing his vulnerability and his weakness.
Doesn't he say something about how he's never turned anyone into a vampire? Or he never got the opportunity or something like that, which was kind of weird that they went in that direction.
No.
I would have liked to have a bit more of that.
Turned. Yeah.
And also, I mean, the fact that the mirror scene when she's sort of freaking out about not being able to see him in the mirror, she's already kind of been descending into this hysteria, and then they have to knock her out. So
they give her
again,
something, don't they?
So again, is that even real? Are we just kind of getting it from her perspective, or?
Which also adds to the general creepiness of that scene, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they drug her.
I know.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Dodgy Germans.
Dirty bastards.
Yeah.
But
no offense to any Germans that are watching.
No, of course not. No. There's a great line that Murnau says after all that shit happens, or they're setting the scene up or something. I'm not sure where they're at in that scene, but he says, if it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that kind of sums the whole fill him up, and it kind of sums up his whole mentality throughout the film, throughout what we've seen him go through. But this was a line that Murnau said in real life to a young Alfred Hitchcock.
I was gonna say I read that.
Did you read that?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's
we must have read the same Google, so we did.
The same old you Googleizing.
Danny
and Alfred Hitchcock was
No.
very dedicated to making his leading ladies uncomfortable.
Yeah, he was mad about that shit.
Mhm.
He was another sort of method filmmaker. He kind of went a wee bit too far at times. To make, but he did make masterpieces. So
he did. He made fantastic films. It's just very unfortunate his methods. You know, nearly blinding somebody with birds and stuff.
Yeah,
madness. Yeah,
the whole discussion itself, like.
That's another episode that we'll get into.
Imagine doing just a whole episode on the horrors that is Alfred Hitchcock.
Problematic male directors.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to do Psycho soon, and that's inevitable. We're definitely doing Psycho, and we'll probably do a couple other Hitchcock films, you know, down the line a little bit. So we'll definitely talk about Hitchcock as a filmmaker. But I just love that they used that line in this film. So the last scene, obviously, as you said, that they were trying to trick Orlok into this last scene, and just the last couple of images are really, really important, because Murnau is just, he keeps going, and it's that sort of clicking with the film.
Trance-like as well.
It's like he's definitely kind of robotic, in a way that he's kind of just given up himself to the process of completing this film. And what's the last line? The last line, something like, "I think we have it," after the last scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, what a great way to finish a film.
If you worked on that film and just been through that, like, I don't know, you're just helping with the props,
you're dead.
You'd be like, "Are you fucking killing me? Kidding me?" Like, oh, okay, you just put us all at risk, Murnau, but yeah, don't worry, it's all there now.
I mean,
as long as you've got your film, mate, it's all right.
Yeah,
don't worry.
I'm going to the papers here, lads. So
I'm going to my union about this.
I'm going on Twitter.
At that time, they were just like,
"See that fucker Murnau, he's a cunt.
You're cancelled."
Well, it is time for me to just go home, eh? Wait, was that Canadian again?
That was a wee bit. Hey, buddy.
Hey there, buddy. Yeah, no. It was all in the name of art, so it's fine.
Art. Yeah.
Art.
Sure, it's all great.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we could talk at length about what's right and what's not right. Obviously, don't hire a real vampire if you're making a film about vampires. However,
rule number one.
I know.
Yeah.
Avoid.
I made that mistake many times.
Vampires. Okay, what have I told you about hiring those vampires? Jesus Christ.
Any work during the day?
Don't hire werewolves either.
Or werewolves.
Yeah, because they're a bit messy too.
Probably easier to work with because, you know, only ever really appear during full moons and stuff. But then again, that also limits the amount of time that you actually have werewolf time. Yeah.
Or what if they're like the Twilight werewolves that get like really pissed off and turn into? You couldn't work with that.
No,
you can't work with people like that.
Could you be bothered?
You need to be professional. Like, I can't be dealing with non-professionals.
Divas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where divas?
Wolf divas, diva wolves. I don't know.
Diva wolves.
She-wolf.
So to sort of sum the movie up, Danny, you sort of think that Murnau. Well, we definitely all think that Murnau went mad. He was mad.
He was absolutely buck mad. So
he was crazy. He was the fever took over him. The filmmaking fever took over him, and he was mental, obviously. And everyone basically died. Didn't everyone die?
Towards the end, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, everyone that was still on set, because I think had a lot of them not just like left as well when they went to film the final scenes. A lot of the crew had left in fear. And then fuck this shit, I'm out. Yeah, but anyone who remained died.
Yeah.
Poor Fritz.
Apart from Murnau.
Apart from Murnau, yeah.
Yeah.
But he
got his film, so
he would succumb to the drugs.
Yeah, I mean his life is just downhill from there.
Pretty much, aye. Where do you go from
the
that?
Lawsuits. So he's gonna get sued to fuck.
He's getting sued to fuck. And I mean, because was the film not like they pretty much had to put out a thing saying that this needs destroyed, and we very nearly wouldn't have had Nosferatu had there not been
it was
rails kept.
Yeah, it was supposed to be destroyed, by law because they sort of made obviously they didn't have the rights to the novel.
Oh, the copyright.
But then I think Stoker's widow was just like, fuck it, whatever. She was old. Stoker was dead at this point, so they were just like, whatever, just keep your movie. Thank God, because it's fucking legendary, and it's one of the most influential films ever made, and it's kind of crazy to think of cinema without Nosferatu.
Yeah,
100%.
And ultimately led to giving us Willem Dafoe as a vampire, which
exactly.
Where would we be without?
Where about with Dafoe going?
Yeah,
being all gropey and stuff.
Yeah,
eating bats and shit.
Free.
Eating bats.
Yeah,
being an absolute ghoulish character. Yep, in his wee coffin.
It's the eyes. He's like me.
I know. His eyes are unreal. Like he's so good. He's so good. But
he's like false lashes or something.
I
know. Somebody, do we need to go and like add Snapchat fillers to Willem Dafoe in Shadow of the Vampire?
I should have done that because I sent you that photo of the I'm something of a vampire myself.
Yes. Oh my God,
and I was just waiting for his first appearance, me to be like, let me do the meme.
Yeah, definitely. You have to do that.
We'll do that. Post on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Oh, do you have any photos from the gig, the Ulster Hall gig?
No. We didn't manage to take any photos.
And what a gorgeous place to watch the film as well.
It was amazing. Such a great venue, and to have that massive organ at the back of the hall being played, unreal. But no, unfortunately, we don't have any photos. We didn't take any photos. We're too busy enjoying
in the moment,
the motion picture,
enjoying the art.
The art. Art. We love us at the art. We're very cultured. Very cultured. Another fantastic vampire film that is Irish in origin is That Boys from County Hell, by the way. Talking about old-timey vampires. It's one, and it's meant to be based on the idea of, because Stoker's originally from Ireland.
Yes.
And the idea is that this village that he's from, they have their own vampire myth, and shit goes down, son. We should talk about maybe next season. Talk about a wee local horror.
Definitely.
We boys of County Hell, perhaps. Let us know in the comments below. Would you like to see it, boys?
Boys, would you like to see it?
Because that's pretty much how they talk in the film. It's fantastic. Actually, it's really good. It's probably one of the best movies from here where you don't necessarily cringe at the accent, because it's just one of those wonderful culty ones.
Pure culty.
Do you know other one I need to see? Is it like Ghost one?
Extraordinary.
Yeah, I need to see that.
Oh, it's great. That's cracker. Yeah, it's really good as well, actually. Yeah, you should check it out. Very funny. It's a comedy horror.
Is your cheese hunted?
Is your
It's so good. It's pretty over the top, especially then, but it's very clever.
Lots of nice nods to The Exorcist and Ghostbusters and loads of other stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Need to give that a go.
Oh, Jesus, surely.
Well, we're nearly done, lads. That's it. Shadow the Vampire. Quality performances from Malkovich and Dafoe. Dufresne, yes. But guess what? There's another Nosferatu film happening. Did you know about this?
No.
It hasn't 100% been confirmed. But
Nicolas
guess
Cage?
who? Danny's going to fucking have a router. Guess who's making it?
Eggers?
Mr. Robert Eggers. Yeah.
No!
Yes.
That was a great guess.
So
Robert Eggers.
Hey.
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu is Robert Eggers' favorite film, apparently.
So many blue, huge
shadows. But a couple of years ago, I think it was before Lighthouse came out, there was rumors that he was going to make another version of Nosferatu, and obviously we were all like, "Oh, amazing, amazing!" And then Lighthouse, bang; Northman, bang. But recently, Anya Taylor-Joy, who is basically in everything he makes, was getting interviewed by Entertainment Weekly or something, or one of those magazines, Variety or something like that, and she mentioned that Nosferatu is still supposedly happening
on the cards.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's definitely not her next movie. She's got a couple of movies.
I think we'll find she's Princess Peach.
She is,
Oh yeah.
Which a lot of people aren't too fussed about, apparently. It's like
Chris Pratt as Mario.
Like, no, but come on.
I mean, the voice of Mario is still there. Like, why not use the OG Mario?
I know.
Also, Charlie Day is Luigi. What?
I know. It's. I mean, Jack Black is Bowser.
It's like one of those like school projects you have to do where you like I remember doing this at school a lot where we were doing a book adaptation and it's like, who would you cast? And it's like somebody else like a second year, they're like, who would you cast? It's Mario and they're like, hey, Chris Pratt, he's
he's fucking great in Jurassic World, so he is. Yeah. And Jack Black would be classed as Browser. He'd sing Tenacious D songs, wouldn't he? Browser.
All he does is go on Google.
Browser history.
Just looking at porn and all. Oh, that's good now.
He's playing Firefox.
But to be fair, Jordan Peele as being voiced by Keegan-Michael Key, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can that one I can kind of accept.
Sorry, repeat what you just said there, Danny. You said Jordan Peele is being voiced by Keegan-Michael Key.
No, that's not what I meant. My brain did a fart. Toad is voiced by Keegan-Michael Key.
Okay, and is Jordan Peele in it?
No. Well,
nope.
Maybe he's one of the other little. Imagine he was one of the other little like.
He's too
busy. People, one of the Mushroom Kingdom people.
Do you not remember Jordan Peele in the original Mario games?
I know.
Just appearing, like as his Twilight Zone persona.
Oh my god! What's the continental? The continental breakfast. Key and Peele sketch. No, you need to watch that.
I haven't seen that. I don't think I've seen that one.
No, I don't think I've seen that either.
No.
It's so funny.
Aaron. Yes. So yes, there's another Nosferatu film coming. Hopefully, in the next 2 years or so. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm proper like.
I'm keen for that.
Pumped.
I am. Proper pumped, Liam.
Proper pumped. And also, Anya Taylor-Joy has been confirmed that she's in it. Imagine she played fucking the vampire. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Like I could see her wearing a ball cap and being all like, "Oh,
big long nails."
I know.
Coming down the stairs, eh? Oh,
that would be amazing.
You could totally do that.
Yes, you heard it here first. So
if they haven't done that, then you know we need to write a letter.
Robert Eggers,
come on, Robert.
Wise up, Robert.
Do something.
Right, listen here, mate.
Hello. If you would like to see Anya Taylor-Joy as Count Orlok, put it in the comments below. Because he definitely watches our videos, and if you put enough comments below, he will be all like, "Oh, those couple of people that watched that video really wants to see her as the vampire."
Robert Eggers was our first video together. We talked about Robert Eggers stuff, so I mean, obviously he knows how important he is to us, so he knows the crack.
And guess what? I'll put a wee link up to the Robert Eggers video about up there somewhere.
Ew.
So.
I don't know where I'll be in this. I'm gonna point everywhere.
Just
around here. I think you can just point up. I think you can go.
Just point up and hope for the best. But also, there's also, which is very exciting. There's also the Voyage of the Demeter film coming out.
Yeah. I've heard of that.
You know, which is the shit, obviously. It's directed by Andre
3000.
Andre 3000. Starring Miss Jackson. But no, the director of Troll Hunter, Andre Overdahl, and he also directed Scary Stories. Del Toro produced.
Yeah,
he directed that as well. So looks amazing, sounds amazing. Can't wait. It's been in production hell for like 15 years. So really looking forward to that. Up the vampires.
Up the vampires.
Up the bloodsuckers. So yeah, we love a bit of vampires, and we can't wait for those films. But yeah, that's pretty much all we're going to speak about today. Anything else from you guys?
Good.
Danny, you're getting over the COVID. Kate, you almost had the COVID, but you don't. So
you're okay. COVID free.
Freshers flu, lads.
Freshers.
To have freshers flu again. Yeah. No, COVID sucks. Get vaccinated. But it's okay. If you're vaccinated, it's not as bad, but it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, get vaccinated. Definitely do.
Yeah.
So hope you enjoyed the episode, guys. As usual, check out the website www.thefrightclubni.com. Check out Insta and Twitter at thefrightclubni. Like,
comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell icon. You can also find Kate on Twitter as well if you want to see her content. Kate, do you want to plug your Twitter or any other such social medias?
This is last time I couldn't even remember what my Twitter handle was. Yeah, you can link it. I just shitpost and complain about really mundane stuff. So it's the kind of content you like, then drop us a follow. And I'll tweet once every 2 months.
Oh, fine. We will have you back, whether it be to do with lycanthropes or vampires or anything else that you wish to comment on.
Another monster. Is there another monster?
I feel like zombies. I gotta get in on a zombie one.
You gotta get in on a zombie one. Ooh.
Are we thinking more classic zombie or something recent? Or...
Well, what did I suggest to you? And it's debatable whether it's zombies, because I've had this argument, but I do think 28 Days Later for me is like a zombie film, and that is one of my all-time favorite films. All time. I love it so much.
I reckon we could squeeze that into season 4.
We could squeeze to season 4.
Amazing.
I don't know if we can squeeze it into season 4, but we're
on season 4.
We'll table it. All right, we've only a few episodes left. We're over halfway through season 4, Danny. Fuck's sake.
Oh my goodness. Time flies when you're having fun, boys.
We'll table it for season 5, because I was going to suggest another zombie film, which I know, Danny, you get a little bit. Your palms get sweaty when we mention this film because you're such a big Edgar Wright fan. Oh! And who knows? You might even have Edgar Wright on the show. You never know that.
One can dream.
Oh, I have another one as well. Have you seen Wreck?
No.
The Spanish.
Oh, that's too scary. Oh, we can't be watching that. That's really terrifying.
It's so good. I think that was the last film that I watched where I was probably like, oh, fuck.
It's like sort of found footage, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Oh, shit. I don't know. My heart. Well, I don't know if from my heart I'll take it.
2006, that film is such a good film.
We'll table that as well. Put that on the table and just see where it lands. But yeah. Definitely. Any other suggestions from you guys? If you want to drop them in the comments below, you can do that or not, whatever you want. If you want to. Fair enough. That's your choice.
When people like a surprise.
And we're all pro-choice here, so that's But Danny, do you want to plug anything? Or
no,
am I wrong?
I'm dumb. I'm dumb plugging. We're all done with the plugging. Gav, please.
Fucking hell. I need to go and eat some food. Right, anyway. Until next week, all the best, guys. Take care. Stay safe.
Take care.
Take care. Thanks for coming on the show, Kate. We'll get you on again.
Pleasure as always.
Yeah. All the best, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.